여러분 안녕하세요. So, in one of my past videos where I briefly touched on the topic of intonation, what video was that? Oh, it was my studying resources for beginners or something like that. In that video, I briefly talked about intonation and how important it is. So I thought I would make a very short video just talking about ways that I am going to improve my Korean speaking abilities. Obviously, when you are learning a language, most people's goal is to sound as native as they possibly can. At least for me, when people say that my tone is good or that I sound native, I really do. It makes me feel great, you know? Okay, great. I feel like a lot of people that are learning languages, I'm just gonna use Korean for an example because I'm learning Korean. The one thing that I hear is, I want to fix my pronunciation. How can I fix it? What tips can you suggest? And I think a lot of people are confusing pronunciation with intonation. I think my intonation is okay. 안녕하세요. 제 이름은 안나예요. 저 27살이에요. 네, 저 미국 사람이에요. 그리고 캘리포니아에서 샀어요. 살아요. 저 한국 음식 진짜 좋아해서 매일 먹어요. 최근에 한국말 안 연습했어. 그래서 저 조금 이상한? I sound kind of weird when I speak Korean because I haven't practiced so long. Anyway, that's my Korean. I know you guys are asking, 언니, intonation 무슨 뜻이에요? I got you covered. I have my trusty notes here. So intonation is the rise and fall of voice in speaking. I feel like English intonation is actually really hard because it's so like for Korean example, normally at the end of a question your voice gets higher. 드라마 더 glory 봤어요? In English, I was just like, oh, did you see the new drama? Oh, I guess it goes high too. It's just, I don't know. I feel like sometimes in English, we can sound so monotone sometimes. It's like if you don't listen, if you're not like used to it, you'll be like, what are you, was it a question? Was it a statement? I don't know, whatever. So an example sentence is, she spoke English with a German intonation. So think of it as like when you were watching dramas or whatever and they'd be like, 진짜? 헐. 아, 그러니까. Like, you got it, great. And then what is pronunciation? So pronunciation is the way in which a word is pronounced. Spelling does not determine pronunciation. So you see the word and you figure out how to say it, how to pronounce it by reading it. 진짜, 그렇지? The intonation of 진짜, depending on like the situation, but most of the times when we hear it, it's like they're surprised or like, so the intonation would be 진짜? 진짜? 이렇게. For example, is like the word 괜찮아요. Depending on, I guess, the topic or the subject or the whatever situation you're in, the tone, the intonation of that word, you would say it differently depending on the situation. Like shocking, like someone got hurt, you're like, 괜찮아? But if you're just like laid back, like it's fine, you can be like, 괜찮아요. It's hard to explain or to give examples, but anyway, let's just move on. Okay, so now that you hopefully have a somewhat understanding of the difference between intonation and pronunciation, right? Okay, great, cool. So now some tips for how to fix, perfect, improve your intonation. And these are things, hello hair, yep, you want to calm down, thank you. Okay, nope, great. Oh my god, there are some things that I'm actually doing as well to help fix my intonation. Let's read my notes. So it says the best way to improve your intonation is simply to become more aware of it. Obviously, it is really easy just to sit down and learn or listen to a language without fully listening to it or understanding it or paying attention to it. Or if you're watching a K-drama, you're not really listening as to how they're speaking. You're just looking at, oh my god, they held hands. This is freaking episode 20 and they just held hands. Or even if you do like mimic like the K-drama actors, you don't think of it as intonation, you think of it as pronunciation. If you're trying to fix your intonation, I would suggest watching more casual setting shows. Same thing with dramas. While it is conversation, it is scripted conversation. It's not how people like speak in an everyday setting. So that's why I would suggest watching some sort of variety show or listening to podcasts or watching Korean YouTubers, and like with doing that, because now you're like actually learning or trying to figure out how to perfect your intonation, you'll just watch things with a different eye and you'll start to notice, oh, they do that to express themselves. Like I said, listen to languages. So step one, or one tip, is to listen to the language. I know, odd be, duh. Another thing is going to be mimic. I know, a lot of people will be like, cringe. Oh my god, like you're trying to be Korean. No. I'm trying to sound like a native. Because if you think about it, if your intonation plus your pronunciation is great, no one will have trouble understanding you. That is like my worst fear, is me speaking a language and people are like, eh? Oh, especially if I feel confident in my Korean, I don't want anyone to be like, 네? 뭐라고요? 다시 해봐. Like, I mimic a lot of people. There's this girl TikTok에 그 여자 이름은 균나예요. That girl, her name is Yuna. She always has like not even funny, it's just like witty TikToks, and it's just her saying stuff. Oh, I'm gonna like do this so wrong, but I loved it. 예쁜 척 하지 말라고? 미안한데 저 예쁜 척이 아니라 진짜 예쁘게 나서거든? 어떡하지? But did you hear like the intonation of like how I butchered that line? I got that from her when she was like 예쁜 척 하지 말라고? I know Talk to Me in Korean, they have a video on their YouTube channel about intonation, and they actually had a example where two people were speaking and they gave you the opportunity to copy or to mimic how those people sounded, so you can get an understanding of how you should be sounding while speaking Korean. So if something crazy happened and you're like, oh my god, that's so crazy, you wouldn't be like, wow, 대박, because that sounds sarcastic, and it sounds like you're like just faking it. But if you listen to how Koreans or natives sound when something is crazy or excited, they go, 와 대박, 와 진짜 대박이야. My intonation is tricky sometimes. Like sometimes it's there, sometimes it goes away. I say mimic, but also try to remember to find your own voice within that mimic. I feel like sometimes when people are learning different languages and they do start to mimic native speakers, they kind of lose their own voice to what they hear or what they think natives sound like, or the mannerisms that natives have. It can be kind of tricky. That's why I'm like, I love Korean culture. I love the way Korean sounds. I love that it's like a little cutesy language, or it can sound very cute, but I'm also still mindful of how I am. If I'm doing it as a joke, then like that's one thing, but I just try to remember like my own like personality and my own like voice to see if I can like mesh it together to be a perfect little harmony, just so I don't feel as if I'm being a different person while I'm speaking Korean. Mimic, you have to mimic, okay? And with mimicking comes with recording yourself. But if you think about it this way, if you record yourself, you're not really showing anyone, it's just you, so you shouldn't feel uncomfortable with it. You have to know what you sound like in order to improve. I listen to my old TikToks and I cringe because my intonation was so bad. I needed to find my own like groove with Korean. There's one I made, I wonder if I can remember it. If I can like find it, I'll put it here. I'm gonna play it and then I'll try to do it again right now. 여보세요. 야 자기야, 지금 어디야? 빨리 집에 와. 나 심심해하고 진짜 배고파. 자기야 배 안 고파? 밥 시킬래? 뭐 먹을 거지? 오빠가 기어라. 난 아무거나 괜찮아. 라면? 아니. 치킨? 아무것도 사실 아니. 김치찌개? 아니. 야 배고파. 빨리 기어라. 여보세요? 미친놈일까? 자기야 지금 어디야? 빨리 집에 와. 나 점심하고 진짜 배고파. 자기야 배 안 고파? 밥 시킬래? 먹어지 오빠가 걸려. 난 아무거나 괜찮아. I forgot. Oh no, 라면 아니 치킨 아무도 사실 아니 김치찌개. 야 언니, 야 배고파 빨리 킬라. 야 여보세요? 미친놈일까? 그랬지? 알았어. 저 끝났어. Anyway, great. Basically, for intonation, just always remember to truly study how Korean is being spoken, not just how it's being sung or how it's being acted out, but just when you see two natives speaking, what do they sound like? What words are they putting emphasis on? What words are they dragging out? You know, all that stuff. And then just mimic it yourself, record yourself, find some ways to improve, and there you go. I also will put some podcasts as well if you are interested in listening to podcasts, Korean podcasts. I'll put those in the description box below as well. Yes. Your only has got your back. We will all be good at Korean at some point. But that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. And I know we can do it if you would just subscribe. I'm just saying, it's free. And I'll see you guys later. 다음에 봐요. 와주셔서 감사합니다. 감사합니다.